I would trade all the money in my bank account to be a teenager again. Granted, I don't have a ton of money in my bank account, but I would trade all of it to be a teenager again because teenagers have the single greatest asset of all. They have time. You've got this massive advantage that no amount of money can buy. And today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to invest your money and, more importantly, how to invest your time as a teenager so that you can set yourself up for success going on into your adult life. The unfortunate reality for us in the US, at least, I don't know how it is abroad, although I'm assuming it's pretty similar. We don't have much of any financial education in school. Even in college, unless you're actively searching for courses or schools that offer classes on financial literacy, you're going to graduate with a degree, ready to join the workforce, excited to make real money, but with no idea how to manage that money. I was lucky enough to take a class in college about money. I was older at that point. I think I was 23, 24, but that class got the gears turning for me. I started to take an interest in personal finance. I started to buy a bunch of books. I started to listen to a bunch of YouTube videos and started to test things out and figure out what worked for me. So when I graduated at 25, I had a great foundation built. And when those checks started coming in from my actual job, I was able to make smart financial decisions that have since increased my net worth by $100,000 over these last 2.5 years. Imagine what you will be able to do if you're a teenager, you're watching this video, you're starting to implement some of these habits and lifestyle changes. You are going to be way ahead of the game by the time you start actually making money. I'm gonna break this video down into 3 different stages. Phase 1 is gonna be the foundation building stage. That's gonna be ages 13 to 14. Phase 2 is going to be the personal development stage, and that's going to be ages 15 to 17. And then phase 3 is the launch phase. That's age 18. You're going off into adult life. In each phase, I'm going to break down how to invest your time and how to invest your money to make the most of those years so that by the end of the video, you will be fully equipped to hit the ground running when you turn 18. Before we get into it though, I should mention I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just a stranger on the internet. I'm sharing my opinions from my personal experience. Phase 1, ages 13 to 14, this is where we're gonna start building our foundation. Like I said at the start, how you invest your time as a teenager is going to be way more important than how you invest your money. And this is going to be especially true at 13 to 14 years old. If you're making money at this age, awesome. Most likely you're not making much of any money. Maybe you have some allowance coming in from your parents, but you have a lot of time. You go to school, you do your homework, sports, whatever, but you have a lot of time on your hands compared to what you will have down the road as a teenager and then into adult life. At this phase, we want to experience as much as we can. So that random hobby that looks fun, that sport you're interested in, that subject in school that has been making you curious, like anything that you have any sort of interest in, I want you to just dive fully into it and just have fun with it. Try as many things as you possibly can. If there's a creative project you want to do, give it a try. If there's an entrepreneurial, like little side hustle you want to give a try, give it a try. There's literally nothing that you can do in this phase when it comes to experiencing life that is wrong. Anything that sparks an interest, go chase that, explore it, and see what sticks. Start paying attention to what you really like, what you're really good at. And the key here isn't to master anything. It's just to have fun and explore. We don't need to worry about being the best. We don't even need to worry about being good at anything. We just need to go out. We need to make friends. We need to make community. We need to make memories. And we need to soak up as many new experiences as we can, because that's going to help you decide what direction you want to start going as you get older. That's what we want to hit on. We want to start figuring out those areas of interest that maybe we want to actually pursue that as a career. Maybe that's what we want to go study in college. Maybe that's what we want to pour our fucking heart and soul into. It could be a sport. It could be video games. It could be YouTube. It could be art. It could be a subject in school. It could be literally anything at this stage. Because as you get older and you have less time, you're going to have less time to go and explore those things. So this is the best time to do that. And this is an investment that is going to pay dividends for years to come. When it comes to investing your money at this age, you got 2 different options. Option 1 is you can have your parents open up a custodial account for you. A custodial account is an investment account, so you'll be able to invest in stocks, bonds, ETFs, whatever you want that's out there on the market, but your parents will manage it for you until you're old enough to take control. And that age will vary based on the state that you live in, but it'll be somewhere between 18 and 21 years old. So This is the best bet because this is the only way you're going to be able to be invested in the markets. Talk to your parents about opening one of these up if possible. I know not all parents will be willing or able to do this, and that's totally fine, because option 2 is to open up a savings account, which I know isn't investing, but let's be honest, unless you are some kid genius and you're selling NFTs or some shit like that, I don't know, I'm hating right now, but unless you're making millions of dollars and you're just killing it online with content creation or something, these are most likely going to be your lowest earning years, which means the gains that you're going to see between 13 and 18 are not going to be significant. And so it doesn't really matter whether your money is sitting in an investment account like the custodial account we talked about, or it's sitting in a savings account. The goal here is just to get used to putting money aside for the future, getting used to paying yourself. Every time money comes in, a little bit of it gets put aside for the future. That's what we want. That's the skill that we want to build here. And so as far as savings accounts go, there are several teenage savings accounts that you can open up. I'll link below to a few good options, and these are going to offer pretty good interest rates as well. Interest rates are going down at the moment, so I know mine just got knocked from 4.2 to 3.8%. So, but they'll have relatively high interest rates compared to everything else on the market. The downside is, again, you're gonna have to get your parents involved here to get this account set up. This is the option that I actually had as a kid, and I remember being so excited to see the interest hit my account the first month, and it was 1 penny. It was 1 penny. I did not have a good interest rate, and I did not have a lot of money in that savings account, but it was just such an exciting moment for me, seeing that I was getting paid just because my money was sitting in an account doing absolutely fuck all. Like that was a dope experience for me. I loved it. So hopefully you get to experience that. Maybe it's a little bit more than 1 penny, but either way, it's a real cool mental shift when you realize, oh, my money can make money for me, even if it's a tiny amount. Like you imagine then, oh, if I had 10 times this amount, then that's 10 times the amount of money that I'm gonna get paid. So anyway, those are the two best options. Either open up a custodial account or open up a savings account. You'll either earn interest or you will earn investment returns, or both. But if you need an option that doesn't require your parents getting involved, which is very understandable, just empty a shoebox. Put it under your bed, stash cash away in that shoebox. I remember I had one of those as a kid, and again, the whole goal here is just to get used to paying ourselves. So anytime you have money coming in, put a little bit in that shoebox and don't touch it. It is harder because it's right there, but like leave that shoebox and just let it fill up with cash. When you're 18, you can open up an investment account, you can open up a bank account, you can move that money into a place where it will actually grow. I remember as a kid, I got an allowance each month. When I was 13 and 14, I think it was about $100. And one of the great things that my parents did was they forced me, against my will, to save 25% of it, which I think is a good number. I wasn't gonna give out like a specific number you should be shooting for, because I think at this age, you should be focusing on how you're investing your time and going out and experiencing life. But if you have any money coming in, put a portion of your money towards your future every time you get paid. If you make $10 shoveling snow, take $1, put it in savings, or $2 or $3, whatever you're comfortable with. At this age, again, it's not about the numbers as much as it is about building that habit and starting to get used to paying yourself every single time you get paid. And so that brings us to phase 2. This is where things start getting more interesting. You're in high school now, freshman through junior year for most people, and adulthood is just on the horizon. All those things you tried in phase 1, all those interests you explored, now's the time to zero in on what really clicked for you. Pay attention to what brought you the most joy, what you were the most passionate about, what were you the best at, like what were you really good at? And again, it doesn't really matter what it was. Maybe you found out you loved video editing, or you loved art or a sport. Doesn't matter. What matters now is that you start getting really good at it. In the first phase, it was just explore, have fun, still explore, but we want to start focusing in a lot of our energy on one thing at this point. And it doesn't have to be your thing for the rest of your life, but we want to get really good at whatever it is we are interested in here. For me, it was baseball. Somewhere in my early teen years, I decided, forget all these other sports. I'm going to focus on baseball, and I'm going to become the best player that I can be. So I was the first person at practice. I was the last person to leave. I played spring, summer, fall. I worked with trainers through the winter, and I spent probably way too much of my free time at home in the backyard throwing my baseball against the wall. Now, obviously, I'm doing YouTube videos. It didn't work out for me. My baseball career peaked in high school. I was a great high school player, but that was as far as I was going to be going. I made exactly $0 from this huge investment of time. And that's totally fine, because what I learned from the experience of fully dedicating myself to this one thing was far more valuable than any money I could have made at that age. When you commit to something like that as a teenager, fully committing to something where you've found something you're passionate about and you've decided you want to be good at it and you put the work in, what you're doing is you're building confidence in your ability to be successful. When you become an adult and you have to then go into a career, you have to go to school and you have to do things that sometimes you won't necessarily become great at, having the confidence that you can go into a new situation, that you can tackle whatever you set your mind to, it's going to translate, I guarantee. It translated for me from baseball to the design work that I do now, where I have this confidence that even if I don't have a ton of experience, even if I'm not as skilled as other people, I will be able to figure it out. It's going to help you in your career, and you apply that same mindset, that same I can accomplish anything to financial success. You're similarly going to see good results from the work you put in towards your finances, because that's what it is. You're learning that if you put the time in, you put the energy in, you're gonna see a result. That's the first way that we are going to invest our time at this age. We're gonna get really good at something. We're gonna build that confidence in ourselves. The other way we're going to invest our time is we're going to get a job. And it can be any job, seriously. It doesn't matter if you are working at a restaurant or retail, whatever job you can get, full-time, part-time, seasonal. The point isn't the money here. Again, you're not gonna be making a ton at this age. The point is to learn how the working world works. Learn how to interact with your boss, learn how to work with coworkers, learn how to work with customers, because all of that is going to be really helpful once you go off and get your first real job, we'll call it. Not that those aren't real jobs, but whatever job is aligned with what you want to do for the rest of your life. This job can be whatever job pays money and accepts kids who are 15 to 17 years old. The other thing that's going to happen when you work a job is you're going to start to respect the value of a dollar. Working for your money and actually having to go spend your time, spend your energy, and in return you receive money, versus money is just this thing that your parents have and you ask and they either give it to you or they don't, but like you have no control over it. Actually having to work for it and actually having to give your time and your energy to receive money is going to shift your mindset. And it's something that's going to happen for everyone at some point whenever their parents stop paying for stuff. But the sooner you can learn this, I think the better, because that shift in understanding the value of your money and understanding that money is not just this thing that floats around and your parents just have an unlimited amount of it. No, like they actually go out and they work for that money. You're going to have to go out and work for that money. It's going to help you respect your money a bit more, which will make saving and investing and making smart financial decisions a lot easier. In addition to getting an actual job, I'd recommend starting some sort of side hustle, most likely a service-based side hustle. So if you're passionate about something that you can sell as a service, that's a great place to start. Maybe you figured out you like video editing, so you can go on Upwork or Fiverr, and you can sell your service there. Or if you don't have an interest with a clear way for you to turn it into a side hustle, like I didn't have an interest that was like baseball was my interest. I didn't have a clear way for me to sell that as a service, but I was able to start a little business called The Odd Jobbers with a friend. We did basically any low skill job that two teenage guys could do. So ended up being a lot of yard work and moving and installing air conditioners, any basic service that people need. So it can be yard work, it could be cleaning, it could be washing cars, it could be babysitting, it could be dog walking, anything that people need regularly, you can start a side hustle around. This is going to bring in a little bit of extra income so that you can invest a little bit more, and maybe you can scale this, and maybe this is something that turns into more of a long-term job for you. But most likely it'll just be a way for you to make a little bit of extra cash. It'll be a way for you to learn how to do some sales, some level of sales, right? You at least got to knock on your neighbor's door and ask them if they want to have their driveway shoveled or have their lawn mowed or whatever it is you're trying to sell them. So that's it. Only 3 big things to do for your time investment. When it comes to investing your money at this stage, we're going to continue to invest in the same account, whatever it was that you were able to set up at 13 to 14. Maybe if you weren't able to get a custodial account or a savings account with your parents at 13 to 14, maybe you try again. But if not, again, it's not that big a deal. At this stage, you should be making a bit more money, right? Now you've got a job, now you've got a side hustle. You hopefully have some money coming in, some more money coming in than you did when you were 13 and 14. And you also have the benefit of having very few expenses. So whatever income you have coming in, you're probably spending just hanging out with your friends. Maybe you have some responsibility around the house. I know some people do, but most likely you probably don't have much financial responsibility at this age, which means you can invest and save a good portion of your money. What we're gonna shoot for is 25%. 25% of the money that you make goes into whatever account it is you are saving and investing your money. Again, you're a teenager, you're probably not making a ton. This is more about building the habit. But if you have a part-time job or a side hustle that's making decent money these years and you're actually able to put away a few hundred, a few $1,000s, that can have a significant impact down the line thanks to compound interest. Let's say, for example, by 17, you're able to invest $1,000. That's a lot of money at 17. I did not have $1,000 to invest in 17, but let's say you're doing well for yourself and you can put $1,000 away by 17. Or you watch this video at 13 and you've been saving over the last 4 years from 13 to 17, and now you've got $1,000 and you're gonna invest that $1,000 compounding at 7% annually, which is relatively conservative, will be worth $25,000 by the time you're of retirement age, which is that's significant, right? $1,000 turning into $25,000, that's a 25x on your money over the course of 40 years versus the same amount. That $1,000 invested at 30 years old is only going to be worth $10,000 by the time you're of retirement age. So just because it might not feel like a ton of money when you're a teenager, it's going to grow. And compound interest is such a powerful tool. It's what's going to end up making you wealthy at the end of the day. You're going to work hard, you're going to save and invest your own money. But at the end of the day, to become wealthy, your money has to work for you. And your money needs time to work for you. So the earlier you can be invested in the markets, the better. The other way we're going to invest our money at this age is in education. Not school education, but our own personal education. Buy books about personal finance or any subject that interests you. But I'm assuming that since you clicked on this video, you're at least a little bit interested in personal finance. A few books that I would recommend are The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I Will Teach You to Be Rich by RAMIT SETHI. I'll link to all those books below, but these are the books that I would recommend for this age because they're a little bit more digestible, a little bit more entertaining than some of the other personal finance books out there. The first two are much more story-based, focused on mindset, and then I Will Teach You to Be Rich has more practical steps that you can take that will be really helpful as soon as you turn 18 to set up your financial toolbox properly. It could also be worth it to invest in online courses at this phase. I do not have one to sell you. This is not me plugging my online course. And be careful because there's a lot of scammy ones out there. But if there's a subject matter that you're interested in that you are not able to learn in school, then finding a good online course can be a great way to learn it in a more structured environment than, say, going on YouTube and figuring out how to learn it yourself through YouTube videos. I've done this with a couple subjects. I've gone through Coursera and LinkedIn Learning, I believe, and found courses on subjects that I was able to learn on YouTube, but I needed more structure to be able to have everything click in my head. So purchasing a course can be worth it. Look into it if there's something that you can't find elsewhere. And lastly, at this stage, I think it's important to invest money in equipment to enhance whatever skill, whatever interest it is that you're pursuing. So let's say, for example, you've decided you really like making YouTube videos, you've been making them for a little while, you want to take that next step. So maybe it's worth it to invest in a camera. Maybe it's worth it to invest in a microphone or in lighting. Or maybe you've decided that you are interested in basketball and that's the thing that you're pursuing. In that case, invest in good basketball shoes, invest in good trading equipment. Whatever you're interested in, doesn't matter. Invest money in equipment that will help you improve your skill set and bring more value. Because again, the goal here isn't to necessarily make money from this investment. The goal is to get as good as possible at whatever it is we're interested in. So if there's equipment that will help you become better, invest in that equipment. You'll also take the YouTube example. If you're getting a new camera and you're getting a new microphone and you're getting lighting, or any of those things, you're going to then have to learn how to use those products. So you're going to be increasing your learning and your skill set while you're getting that new equipment. You're getting better quality video because you got a better camera, but you're also learning how to use a more professional camera. Fucking awesome. Win-win situation. You've made it to phase 3 now. This is where things start to get really exciting because you're 18 and you have access to all the adult financial tools that you didn't have access to prior to this point. As soon as you turn 18, the first thing you're gonna do is open up your own bank account. Get both a checking and a savings account. I personally bank with SoFi. They've got a pretty good interest rate on their high yield savings account. They also just have a really easy to use, well-designed mobile app, and so far, I've enjoyed banking with them. I've also banked with Charles Schwab in the past, with Bank of America. The bank itself isn't super important. Do a little research, figure out which one you want to bank with, and then open up a checking and a savings account with that bank. Next up, and this is a big one, you're gonna get yourself a credit card. This one is really important. It's a really powerful financial tool, but it is also a really dangerous financial tool if you don't use it responsibly. So I've actually made another video that you can check out on how to responsibly use a credit card to boost your credit score, to stay out of credit card debt and take advantage of all of the benefits that credit cards provide. The golden rule with credit cards, if you don't want to go and watch that other video, which I highly recommend you do if you don't know anything about credit cards, but the golden rule here is going to be that you never spend money you don't already have. Treat your credit card exactly like you would treat a debit card, exactly like you would treat cash. Only use it on things that you need. Use your credit card for things like gas and groceries, any bills you have to pay if you can pay them with a credit card, subscription services, the things that you would already be spending your money on no matter what. Use your credit card for those things to build up points to get whatever discounts and perks that the credit card is offering you. This is going to help you build your credit score up, but it's also going to help you avoid going into debt. So don't use your credit card on going out and buying clothes. Don't use your credit card to book a bunch of travel if you don't already have the money for it. If you don't already have the money in your checking account ready to be spent on whatever the specific thing is you want to spend your money on, do not use your credit card for it, because you want to avoid going into credit card debt. That will cripple you for years to come. But again, watch my other video. I go way more in depth on how to use credit cards responsibly in that video. Once you've got those basics set up, it's time to open your first independent investment account. If you had a custodial account, you might be getting access to that now, but if not, that's totally fine. This is our chance to start fresh. The key here is to think long-term. I'm talking about retirement account long-term. So we're gonna want to look at opening up a 401k or a Roth IRA. And I know at 18, retirement feels like it's a million years away, but that's exactly why it's so important to start now, because you have so much time for compound interest to work its magic. So you might be getting your first 401k at this stage if you're going straight from high school into the workforce and you get a job that offers you a 401k. That's great. If not, if you're going to college, if you are going into a job that doesn't offer you a 401k, you can open up a Roth IRA. And you should open up a Roth IRA regardless of whether or not you have a 401k at this point. They both have tax advantages. They both have different tax advantages that we can take advantage of that will save us thousands in the long run. And this is where that compound interest that I was talking about really shines. Let's say at 18, you start putting $100 a week into your Roth IRA, and you do this until retirement at age 65. You will have invested about $250,000, I think a little bit under $250,000 over that time. But assuming a 7% annual return, which is on the lower side of average, your investment will have grown to over $1.7 million by the time you retire. So you would have made about $1.5 million from compound interest, from your money just sitting there in your account invested into ETFs and stocks. If instead of starting at 18, you start at 35 after you've had some career success, you've had some fun years in your 20s, you say, all right, I'm getting serious at 35, you start investing. To have that same 1.7 million at retirement age, you'd have to over triple the amount that you invest each week, from $100 to $350. And by the time you're 65, you will have invested over $500,000 of your own money to hit that same goal that you could have hit had you started at 18, investing $100 a week. That's why it is so important to start early, because it's going to save you so much money and time and energy down the line. If you can make this a priority when you're young, it's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, as we can see in this example. A few other smaller money moves to make at this age. Avoid bad debt. As much as possible, I mean, that's not even a small, that's a big one. Avoid credit card debt, avoid auto loan debt that you can't afford, personal loans, avoid loans from family that you can't afford to pay back. Just stay away from spending money that you don't have as much as possible. Student loans might be necessary at this stage depending on what you want to do with your life, with your career, but credit card debt, auto loans that you can't afford, stay away from those as much as possible, because those are going to be real wealth killers down the line, especially if you get into really large amounts of debt when you don't have any money coming in, because that interest is going to accrue. In the last place, I think it's really important to invest your money at this stage is in your health, is in building healthy habits early, getting that gym membership, buying good running shoes, buying a yoga mat, whatever gets you moving, invest some money in that. Down the line, this is gonna save you thousands of dollars in avoided medical expenses, like gonna keep you out of the hospital long term, and that is going to be a big financial benefit, but also just good to have good health as long as you possibly can. So invest some money in your health, buy healthy foods, go to the gym, go for a run, spend money on those things to keep yourself healthy as long as possible. So that's it for phase 3. That's how we're investing our money, but we still have to invest our time at this age, because that is, again, the most important thing. We want to keep developing whatever skills it is we developed in phases 1 and 2, but here's what's different. We want to start thinking about how these skills can create financial freedom for you. So maybe that YouTube channel that you started for fun could become a real business. Maybe those graphic design skills you've been working on can turn into a freelance career. Whatever it is, start thinking about how can I turn this skill set that I have, this value that I can bring to society, how can I turn that into a income producing skill? So I can't necessarily give you specific tips because I don't know what it is your skill set is, but go on YouTube, go read books on people who are doing what it is you like to do and figure out how they're making money doing it, and go pursue that yourself. Before we wrap this up, I need to tell you something that might seem to go against everything that I've just said in this video, but don't oversave and don't overinvest, especially when you're young. Being smart with money is super important. When you're young, you have this huge opportunity of all this time for your money to compound. So it's great to start early. The fact that you're watching this video, if you're a teenager watching this video, you are miles ahead of everyone else. Take a breather, enjoy your teenage years, enjoy your early 20s, invest, be smart with your money, but don't be that person who never goes out with friends because you're trying to save every penny. Don't be that person who doesn't travel at all because you're trying to save every single dollar that you've earned. The goal here shouldn't be to become a little mini Warren Buffett. The goal should be to set yourself up for success while actually still enjoying your life. I want you to have balance. Do things you love, make memories, make friends, take some risks, have experiences and adventures, and live your life. But